go of everything.
On here to take these rough values and just kind of polish them up even further. So again, I'm just kind of sharing with you my process for doing something like this. It's by no means the be-all, end-all way, but hopefully thus far you're finding it useful. Just to reiterate, my reasoning for taking all these blocked-in values and smoothing them out, kind of blending them out to really kind of nail down these forms is that it really helps when we start doing another pass over all of it, working in additional smaller details, such as a lot of these little wrinkles that we're going to put in here starting in the next lesson. I like doing it that way rather than spending a whole lot of time on one little area, just detailing it to absolute perfection and then moving on to the next. I feel like that approach ends up becoming kind of muddy in some ways. I'm not saying that it's impossible, but I kind of like working on the entire piece holistically and just doing multiple passes. Okay, and I think that way, again, just to reiterate the word holistically, you can kind of see everything come together in a very unified fashion. And of course, you know, right now everything is looking very kind of cold and plastic with these kind of smoothed out areas. But right now we're just trying to kind of nail down the forms, kind of get these exaggerated forms that we've drawn here, and give them more dimension, more of a three-dimensional quality. So I'm kind of working on these little wrinkles right here, just in the forehead. We don't want to make them too thick. Okay. If you look at kind of our examples here, they're not super thick, and they're also, you know, they're not real deep. They're not real deep recesses. So I'm kind of being mindful of that as I kind of start to blend those. I'll kind of jump around here. We'll go over here to the ear now. We'll just kind of start to make that a little bit more clear that it is an ear. So just kind of taking these different values here and just kind of starting to, again, hold down Alt and sample and just kind of blend those to where we can kind of start to see the inside of that ear just a little bit more clearly. So that's starting to feel nice. Again, just kind of making comparisons as we go is always good. And again, I want his ears to really be another component, another characteristic, just that really stands out. That you know, in addition to the nose and the bags under his eyes, I want those ears to really be something that the viewer will see pretty quickly when they're looking at the entire image, and they'll hopefully associate that with the person in real life. Because again, if we look at those reference images, I think he's got some pretty good size ears. Okay, so that's feeling pretty nice. Just kind of smoothing that out. I'll go ahead and kind of come over here to the opposite one. Just kind of taking these values here and kind of still putting into account just the lighting. You know, I may want to kind of darken this area over here just a little bit more. I feel like we kind of got that just a little bit bright. But just kind of taking this area over here is looking a little rough, so we want to kind of clean that up. And I'm kind of referencing, I kind of want to reference this ear right here, just because I think you can see it just a little bit more clearly. So it's kind of coming through there and Kind of defining those folds just a little bit more clearly there. Kind of coming around the bottom of the lobe, kind of making that appear that it kind of rolls a little bit so it's not completely flat looking. All right. Let's kind of move on to the hair. The thing with hair, if you look at this example right here, if you kind of squint your eyes, you'll no longer see the individual strands of hair. The thing with hair is it tends to clump together. Okay, and so if you know that much, then you can focus on creating basic shapes in the hair to start with, and that's going to basically lay the foundation for you to get the form of the hair down the way you want. And then we'll be able to make another pass later on. We'll have a lesson where we just focus on the hair, and we'll start working in just brushing in individual strands to really kind of make it feel like it's hair. And again, this is a caricature that I'm kind of taking it to more of a realistic rendering rather than just kind of line work and just some light rendering. Often you kind of see caricatures like that in editorial magazines, editorial cartoons, where they're just kind of you see some line work and a little bit of kind of watercolor rendering. But sometimes in entertainment magazines, especially with actors, you'll see some pretty detailed caricatures. And so again, that's kind of where we're trying to go with this. So you can kind of see I'm just kind of focusing on having the hair be in these kind of clumps. Now obviously it looks real kind of unnatural looking. It looks like he's wearing a solid mass on his head. Okay, but again, we're kind of laying the foundation, just kind of focusing on having some major clumps, some major masses in there to work with. All right. That's feeling pretty nice. And I'll kind of start to kind of polish up the little bust here that we have. With the bust, I'm not going to get overly detailed. I want to keep it pretty simple. Again, coming back to the whole premise of what makes a caricature, where you have a lot of things that are exaggerated, but then you also have some attributes that are simplified. This is what we want to do with the bust. We don't want to draw a whole lot of attention to it, and that's really why I kind of sketched it smaller to begin with, because we want the focus to be on the head and not the bust. And you'll see that with a lot of caricatures, even in examples where you see the whole entire body. So just kind of smoothing out some of these values right there. All right, very nice. So in our next lesson, we're going to move forward. We're going to jump on to adding just little bitty wrinkles throughout the face and really start pulling out a lot of detail.